Hi everyone, I'm Sandie La Nae. Welcome to Psychic Creations. We have a very fun show for you today. All right, I'm just going to set this down right here. As you know, we have asked a few of our special guests to return to another show to demonstrate how they create their wonderful pieces of art and their skillfulness in those artistries. Now, Kim Van Zyl of Zentangle Artistry has been on the program once before, speaking about and showing our viewers her unique and fabulous creations. As promised, we invited Kim back for another Psychic Creations show to explain to us the charming and winning Zentangle art method. So please again welcome owner of business Tangle Wonders, Zentangle artist and teacher, Kim Van Zyl. Yay!
Thank you, Sandy.
It is an honor to be among this artist and her fabulous and wonderful creations, which now she's going to explain to you just how it all works. So the floor and the show is all yours.
All right, I'm ready. Thanks again, Sandy, for having me here today. I'm very excited to go over what Zentangle is. Some people have heard about it since it is kind of all the rage right now, but others have no clue what Zentangle is. So it is an art method that was developed over 10 years ago by Maria Thomas and Rick Roberts, a married couple over on the East Coast. And it's a method that they developed so that anyone can actually become an artist. And that's the cool thing about this, and that's what brings me probably the most joy. I've taught 7-year-olds to 90-year-olds with different issues or no talent at all, and by the end of the class they are just so excited. So real simply, Zentangle, it's an easy to learn and relaxing art method, okay? And it's comes about by learning different tangle patterns and putting those tangle patterns together. And to make this as simple as possible so anyone can do this, it has a little ceremony to it. A lot of people, they look at a blank piece of paper and they immediately panic. How do I even begin? I don't even want to put a pen on this. So they do this really simple ceremony, and it just has a few steps. When I teach it, I'm drawing it on a larger format like this so that everyone in the class can see. And then they are drawing on what we call a tile. And these are little 4x4 squares of beautiful cotton paper made in Italy. The materials we use are just such of nice high quality. So just for example, that's my large scale, and then this would be like a original tile of what the students would be doing. When someone takes my beginning class, they get this little kit, and everything is in here. And that's the fabulous thing about Zentangle. The investment is very small. You can take this little bag with you, and you can do this art method wherever. Traveling in the car, in the plane, at the beach. I've done it everywhere. So I just want to show you real quick what comes in this. And when I teach a beginning class, but it's a 3-hour class and includes all your supplies. So boy, you sure are getting your money's worth. Lots of tiles in there, the pen that you'll need. We use a pencil for shading, which gives it that 3D pop. And I also include some little extra goodies, a little inspirational card, a bookmark that goes over those steps of the ceremony that's involved. Of course, you have to have chocolate, and our little blender stick. And then there's a lovely little insert, and this is designed by Maria Thomas. So it has her beautiful calligraphy, has just some inspirational words and some little examples, and then everything comes in your little muslin bag. So it's such a great gift to give yourself, and when you learn this, you start passing it on to your kids, your grandkids, your coworkers. I've been doing Zentangle for a little over 5 years. I did become certified as a teacher in Providence, Rhode Island, October of 2014. Just a marvelous experience. I wish I could go back every year. It was like Girl Scout camp, just unbelievable. Um, if you really get passionate like I have, you can go beyond doing your tiles, which do give you much joy and relaxation, to basically tangling any surface that is sitting still. I've done the rocks and larger pieces. I've done some large linen canvases. Just yesterday, we had 11 ladies in here making cards. One of the cards we did was this little goddess card. So it's a combination of using a stamp and then our Zentangle patterns to create your own little piece of art. So really the sky is the limit, and I just had such fun teaching it, learning it. Made me become an artist again. Used to do art a long time ago, and you kind of stop when you get, working as a mother and wife and in the working world. So this is something so wonderful that I can pass on to other people and bring them some joy. And there's all different methods. Once we do this basic Zentangle tile using the cream and just basically black ink and pencil, it's very simple, which takes the stress out of doing art, makes those decisions very few, which is nice. Then you can go on to do some other techniques. This is a technique that's using white on black paper. So whole different concept. We're learning how to shade with white, and it's a really neat look. And then probably my favorite is what we call the Renaissance tan paper. So it's very much like a museum quality look. Has kind of a vintage antique look to it with the tan paper. And then we're introducing the brown ink and some more white for shading and highlights. So just those subtle changes, you just really go from creating something a little more black and white to adding a little bit of color. My students, they get antsy. And they're like, when are we going to do lots of colors, blue and purple? And it's like, well, I didn't do color for 2 years. I stayed very true to the very basic principles and philosophy of Zentangle, like what Rick and Maria came up with. But I have gone on to try color, and it is beautiful. And you can do a lot of different things with color inks, colored pencils, colored paints. But you know what? I think my heart still goes back to the simplicity of the black, the brown, the white. And one little thing I'll share with you here. This is something we did yesterday with our class as well. And it's to make like a little picture frame with one of what we call our bijou cards. Bijou stands for jewel in French. So it means tiny little jewel of a card. Rick and Maria, they travel to Europe a lot, so they really come back with some great inspirations. And so this becomes a little picture frame where you can put your little card in there, or I've done it for birthday cards for friends, put their little picture in there, but you're basically still tangling a pattern around the edge. And so that's kind of a neat technique. We did this yesterday. We made a Christmas card. I think I have a sample right here. So we did a Christmas card in that same technique, and then did a little 3D with the little pop-ups underneath it. So, I'm so excited about this. I'm so passionate about it and teaching it. And I would love to any of you to, reach out to me. And I've done some private home parties, birthday parties for kids. So, give me a buzz or go to my email. That's the best way to reach me, and I can let you know when I'm going to have my classes. Teach a lot of beginning classes at the new yoga studio here in Carson, Gaia Wellness Yoga, which has been a fabulous place. And then I teach right out of my home here too, which is nice and cozy and intimate, and I don't have to haul my stuff around so much. So this is the book that Rick and Maria has they put this out I think last year with Zentangle just going like wildfire. They finally came out with their own book, and I do recommend if you want to treat yourself. It's just a beautiful little like coffee table book, but yet it goes over the history and the basic instruction and the philosophy behind this. Their mission statement is one stroke at a time, okay? And that's basically it. You're really simplifying it. So it takes the intimidation and the stress out of doing this art technique. I work with a lot of folks that might have some mental health issues, anxiety, depression, pain management, and it's just been wonderful for them. And that's what brings me the greatest joy, is maybe halfway through the class I'll have someone shout out, "Oh my goodness!" And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And they're like, "I can't believe I just did this. Look at this." And I'm like, "I know, you can do it." So what I'm going to demonstrate now is the steps that we go through to create a Zentangle tile. Like I mentioned earlier, Rick and Maria wanted to keep this as simple as possible so that anyone is able to do this art method, and it's very approachable. Number one step is appreciation and gratitude. I think that's so important, just to appreciate the materials we're going to use and the time that you're maybe giving yourself to sit down and relax and create a piece of art. And then one of the steps, it's the very first one in the paper process, and it gets rid of that whole intimidation of the blank paper. And it's simply, we're going to put a dot in each corner. And now your paper is not blank anymore. So if you start this way each time, it really takes the pressure off. Then we're going to connect those dots with just a really light pencil border. And your pencil marks will disappear into your design once you're all done. But again, this is helping you to lay out the basics to get your Zentangle tile started. The next step is what we call putting the strings onto the paper, and it's simply dividing up this in some sections so that you can put a pattern in each of those sections. And one of the easiest strings I like to do, we call it the Z string, and you're just going across, coming up, and going across again. And what you've created now is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces for you to start putting your tangle patterns. So we're all done with the pencil at this point. That wasn't as hard at all. And so now we start using our micron pen, and these are beautiful pens by Sakura. They're waterproof. The ink is fade proof. It's just beautiful quality, so your little work of art is going to hold up and can be on display for many years. So one of the introductory tangles I teach, it's called Crescent Moon, and it's simply a few of these little half moons drawn around this section here. And while you're working, these strings are just guidelines. If you want to go off the border or continue into this section, that's your choice. They're just meant there to help you out. And then we're going to do an aura. An aura is a principle we use a lot in Zentangle. It's simply outlining one of your shapes, and you can outline on the outside or the inside. And we're going to keep doing that until we fill up this entire little section. And you can see how simple this is, and you can, you know, keep going here with your pen where it's not even coming off the paper. This little continuous motion, which is almost hypnotizing. That's how relaxing this is. And then to complete this tangle, we color in all of these little half moons totally black, and that creates some of that contrast of the black and white. One of the next tangles is called Holly Baw, and these tangles, some of them have very unique names. Some I know the history of, others I don't, but this happens to be the last name of Maria's son-in-law, who designed this particular pattern himself. And it's a bit more of a, you can see, a line pattern. And what I'm doing is this principle of drawing from behind. So you draw your first little road or stick, and then you're making another one behind it. And again, it's all free choice, however you want to design your tile. But when I'm teaching it, I show different examples, and people are inspired by that. You can color in a few of these little sticks if you want to. You can do a little pattern. I mean, the options are just endless. So we've already kind of done two patterns there. You can see how quickly this can go, or you can really slow down the process and take your time and just really that one stroke at a time philosophy. Another pattern that we like to do is working with a spiral. Spirals are very cool because it's kind of that little never-ending circle. And this particular spiral that we do, we leave a little gap in there. It creates a little sparkle or a little highlight. And that's another principle that we can apply to a lot of our different patterns. And then just like in Hollybaugh, we've kind of created this drawing from behind aspect. So these little spirals look like they're behind the big one here. So I'm moving along kind of fast just to let you see how simple this can be. Okay. This is probably one of my favorite tangles. I learned this one when I was at the seminar in Rhode Island.
These are beautiful and so, well, simple, but yet beautiful.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it, and that's why I've been able to teach, 7-year-olds or people that are, have a little bit of a disability.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one, we would just keep going till we fill that area up.
I love the names of the patterns. That's fun.
Yeah, this one is called printemps, which is another French word. It means spring, so like bouncy spring.
Oh, very interesting.
And this one's kind of fun when a crescent moon can kind of just blend right into that, extend out maybe those little lines a bit.
Just adding the black marks like that just changes the whole, like almost the whole pattern of just that one pattern.
Right, it creates a lot of contrast,
Contrast.
and a little bit of
Mhm.
drama.
Isn't that fun?
And then this other pattern that I like to teach in the beginning class is called tipple. And it's just a whole collection of these little orbs. Try not to call them circles because you don't really want to be, caught up with drawing a perfectly round circle.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like to do different sizes, and that's what gives this interest. And then when you end up with this little bit of negative space, you color that in black to get some of that contrast going. You can even do like a little black pearl in those little intersecting spots.
Oh, look at that.
And tipple, I just kind of throw in on every tangle I do because it's just looks like little river rocks or marbles, or at Christmas time you color them red and they're little berries.
Oh, sure. Look at that. That just changes the whole pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then, like I mentioned before, your pencil border out here is just a guideline, so maybe you want to go beyond that and kind of run your tipple farther down here. So again,
Isn't that fun?
you can do some independent, free thinking, or you can do exactly what I'm doing.
And look how far you have drawn in a short amount of time. That's so interesting.
Yeah, and this pen just glides so nice on this paper. You can use different types of paper, but to do a traditional Zentangle tile, I really enjoy doing the tiles that Rick and Maria have produced for us. Like I said before, this paper is from Italy, 100% cotton. It's like museum quality. Because I think it's really important to not cheapen the process. You want to keep this special for yourself and for others.
No, that's a really good point. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point.
If you do want to do larger pieces of art, then get some good quality, sketchbook paper, the Bristol paper, as long as it takes to the wet ink from the pen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that to bleed and mess up your piece of art. So that's kind of the basics of our tangles there. And with Hollybaugh, I might add in a couple little ribbons in the background.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
So you can make it as simple or as complicated as you want. And then probably my favorite step in the whole process is the shading.
Oh.
So we go back to our pencil, and especially with the printemps, this is kind of an aha moment where we did that drawing from behind. We did this first big one in the beginning. So if we just kind of shade around the perimeter of that, all of a sudden that's popped out in front of all these others.
Oh, look at that.
And the beauty of Zentangle is we don't get hung up on traditional shading where the light source is here and where should the shadow fall. You just kind of shade wherever you think you would like to, and it just adds some depth and 3D to this.
It sure does.
And then you take your little blending tool here, our little tortillon. And you can
Oh,
soften that
yes.
up and come out with it a little bit.
Well, look at that. Isn't
You can
that?
make some of these kind of just fade away into the background.
Isn't that
So,
interesting?
I mean, the simplicity is so awesome, and yet the effect is just wonderful.
Oh, it is. Oh, my
And
God.
with Holly Ball, same thing. This was our first one we did. So if we shade on either side of that one, and then any other ones that are kind of laying on top. And if you want to deepen that background a little bit.
Isn't this amazing? I think even I could maybe
You
do
can
this.
do this, Sandy. I've been waiting for you to take a class.
I'm going to have to because this is
Yeah.
just amazing. Oh, this is amazing.
And then tipple is really fun. I always refer to this one as putting a little smile on some of these larger stones. So just by making this simple little mark, you can do all of them or just most of the big ones. Then you've turned this into a little more 3D. You've got a little bit more of a orb or a pearl or a little gem. Another really great look is to do your tipple in black, color these all in black, and then do the little highlight mark with a white pen.
Oh,
And
sure.
that's a whole nother look that is really cool.
Oh, would you look at that?
But you can see just that little simple.
Gives it that 3D look.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't.
And a crescent moon, which was our very first one we started with. I just kind of maybe darken the edge there a little bit. Kind of brings your eye into the center of that little vortex we made. And if you want to. But don't be afraid to shade. I love the shading. It really makes it pop.
Isn't that? I can't believe how this, a piece of paper has turned into this beautiful creation.
And then a couple of the other steps that Rick and Maria talk about is appreciating your piece of work. And a true Zentangle has no up or down or really any direction. So even though we started it in this direction, you might turn this and look at it this way
Oh, sure.
or
Oh,
this way.
it changes the whole picture.
And you're like, oh, you know what? I think I don't know, maybe I kind of like it going that direction. Whatever you decide on, then you want to take ownership. I always talk about being proud of your artwork. So one of the last steps is you're going to put your initials or your mark or your, the Chinese call it a chop. So it kind of symbolizes you as the artist. I've been doing the same little chop with my initials since high school. I just had to change the W to a V. So basically it's got my Kimberly Ann Van Zyl there.
Oh,
And that is what is really special about these tiles is they have created on the back a place where you can also do your full signature, you can date it, you can do a little journaling, because these become little pieces of history or your art. And if you keep going, you have this nice little stack of them and you start you know, looking at the back and you can see, oh wow, this was my first one I did like 2 years ago. Look how far I've come.
oh, good point.
So today is the 13th, right? And you might say, interview with Sandy.
Oh,
How about that?
that's pretty
So
cool.
you've got a little journaling there, which is so neat. And I like to go back and, you know, flip them over and, oh yeah, I did this at the beach at Tahoe. That was neat when we had company. And it's also kind of fun if you start with it kind of upright when you do it, then you turn it around and you end up liking it this way. You're like, oh, now it's upside down. Little funny thing there.
That is.
But that's pretty much the basics of completing a whole tile. And probably the last step, again, we go back to the appreciation and just appreciating the time you gave yourself to create something like this. And probably one of the best things I like is to give things away. So they make such beautiful little gifts, little tokens.
Well,
for,
they do. I'm going to get a picture of you with that. So excuse the flash there, people. Isn't that beautiful? I'll be darned. And to just stand here and watch you create that, how a piece of paper just came out with this beautiful patterns and this beautiful effects. And it just looks like you could just reach in and touch the different layers. Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
So I'm just going to add a little finishing touches to my tile. We went through that a little quicker than I normally would with a tile because you want to really take your time. You want to breathe. Maybe have some nice music going on in the background. But hopefully you can see where this can be as simple as you want to make it, or you can keep going with some little add-ons here. So I'm just adding a little bit of background to our holly ball. But it's pretty well done. I'm pretty happy with it. And I think Sandie was really happy with it while she was watching us.
Oh, I was.
So I think I would like to present this tile to Sandie La Nae, who, with her generosity and her gift of giving, she deserves probably much more than this. But she can have this little tile as a reminder of our fun class here together.
Oh, well,
All right.
thank you. This is very, very special. Oh, thank you very much. I love that. And I love the back. That's
Interview
great.
with Sandie.
That is great. Well, thank you, Kim. Oh, I don't know how to thank you. I love this. I love that. I'm going to get one of these really fancy holders like this that you have and put that on, because that is very special. Oh, this way? Yes. Thank you so much,
You're
Kim.
welcome.
Oh, I love that.
And if you want to, you can keep it just like that. Like I have little holders where just the paper is, right there. Or
right.
you can, put this on a little piece of black matte paper maybe and put it in a little frame. But they make such great little presentations. And
oh, thank you so much.
thanks again for having me, Sandie. And again, reach out if you're interested in learning more about Zentangle. Feel free to contact me through my email. That would be tanglewonders, all one word, @outlook.com. And I will correspond back with you and let you know when our calendar of classes are, okay?
Well, we have had a very fun program, thanks to Kim today. As you can see, I'm wearing my Zentangle blouse. How about that? Again, thank you so much for this
You're so welcome.
awesome program. It's always a pleasure to be filming you and your wonderful items. Thank you so much for watching Psychic Creations. And if you would like to be a guest on our show, the content is of the metaphysical, spiritual, and beautiful artists. You can get a hold of me at my website, which is www.sandiepsychicstones.com, or at my email address, which is admin@sandiepsychicstones.com. And you can also get a hold of me on Facebook, Sandie La Nae. How about that? Thank you so much for watching Psychic Creations, and we'll see you next show.